Chapter 1. New Life, 1, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Out of nowhere, Bill came to realize that he was in a dark place. He tried to look around, but he didn't see anything changing. He didn't even feel his neck moving. What happened? Where am I? If I remember well, I was returning home after Joel's little sister's birthday party. The last thing that Bill remembered was crossing the street to his block when he saw the green light opening for him. He probably didn't make a mistake and was run over by some vehicle since he didn't drink anything at the party. His best friend's little sister still was a minor, so obviously, not even beers the guests had the chance to find. Maybe I am dreaming, but this is one heck of a scary dream. I can't see or feel anything. No, I can feel some warmth and something slimy over me. Weirdly enough, Bill didn't feel that unpleasant. Aside from the darkness and the lack of mobility, he felt pretty comfortable. However, eventually, he began to feel some weird noises and something pushing his legs. Oh! I can feel my legs now. Was I that sensitive? It tickles. Bill felt like laughing, but no sound came from his mouth. It was weird. He could feel his legs, but not his mouth. Nevertheless, after a while, he noticed that the environment was starting to become a bit clearer. In the distance, he could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Wait, isn't this kind of dangerous? Just like that, Bill was reborn as Billy. It took a while for him to understand that. Several hours, in fact, he couldn't believe that he had died without knowing, much less reborn with his past life memories. Not to mention, once he was born, he was overwhelmed with massive amounts of information. First of all, after his birth, he began to see a HUD in the corner of his vision. Billy. LV00. 0/10EXPHP 05/05MP05/05SP. May 5th. Aside from the weird game elements, Billy also noticed that he was born in a very archaic place. His mother, who fed him and then immediately fell asleep since the delivery had been pretty difficult, was wearing a single piece of clothes that had been stitched together very roughly. The clothes couldn't even be called that from Billy's perspective, since they were only the fur of some animal. Not to mention, the dress that his mother was wearing only covered half of her legs, and it didn't have sleeves. Not to mention their house, it was made of some bamboo and straw. Was I reborn in some kind of indigenous tribe? Billy knew that nowadays, only very few tribes were isolated enough for them not to have ordinary clothes or even electricity. Nevertheless, Billy knew that it didn't make any sense to be reincarnated with an RPG system back on Earth. The woman who helped Mom with delivery didn't say anything, and Mother only called me Billy. I can't say for sure yet if I am in another world. In any case, where is my new father? Since Billy is small and he couldn't move a lot, it took a while before he had the chance to even see his mother's face completely, so maybe it was natural that he didn't see his father. That being said, since the house was small and pretty quiet, he was starting to think that it didn't seem natural. Nevertheless, when Billy had the chance to see his mother, he got quite impressed. While she seemed to be in her 20s, she looked incredibly beautiful, even without wearing any makeup or even clothes to make her look cute. She had shoulder-length, straight black hair and green eyes. Billy couldn't remember seeing someone with eyes greener than her. They really looked like emeralds. Not to mention, his mother even had some impressive muscles, but those didn't make her look weird or manly. She also had some incredibly healthy tan skin. The only thing weird in her were some scars. Maybe this tribe is at war against others. Billy wanted to check other things, but in the end, before he could notice it, he fell asleep. The next time he woke up, Billy saw himself floating in the air, and a big and scary face was in front of him. No, the owner of the scary face was holding him and watching him attentively while his mother was showing a smile. I don't have my lunch money today, bruh. My bad. Billy tried to say that to joke around, but only "guh" and "da" left his mouth. The man frowned but then smiled in satisfaction before passing Billy back to his mother. The big guy also had black hair, green eyes, and tanned skin, but he had far more scars around his body. He also had some amazing muscles. Before leaving the hut, the big guy kissed Billy's mother, and that made him roll his eyes. No child wanted to see that kind of thing, but he soon forgot about that when Billy saw his father grabbing a spear on the side of the entrance of the hut. I suppose tribes like these create these kinds of weapons, and considering how big my father is, there is no mistake. This is a tribe of warriors. Could someone like Billy become a warrior? He lived on the peaceful and lazy earth, after all. Not to mention, the fights he got involved in always ended after 2 or 3 punches when he or the opponent started to cry, "BDNVLDM, reincarnation, keeping my memories is good and all, but I am not sure if it was the best thing. How can I live a life earnestly and do my best knowing that reincarnation exists? No, perhaps this happened by chance, and reincarnation isn't that normal. That kind of thought should keep me on the line. Most people wouldn't be able to live to their fullest if they think that they have another chance after that. In any case, Billy would make sure not to get ahead of himself. Still, soon Billy would understand that he would be forced to do the best every single day of his new life. Chapter 2. New Life 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Life in that hut was really something else. While it was embarrassing, Billy got used to doing nothing but pooping, pissing, sleeping, and eating all day and all night. The only thing he didn't get used to it was the sounds that his parents made at night when they were working on making his siblings. Fortunately, there wasn't much light inside the hut, so he never saw anything that would traumatize him for life. Putting jokes aside, Billy probably had the same mental age as his parents. Despite that, he still would feel weird in seeing them in action. Regardless, after a few months, when Billy was bored out of his mind, he realized that there was more to his RPG system than he had imagined, a lot more. When he focused his eyes on the HUD, he found this. Billy. LV00. 0/10 EXP HP 05/05 MP 05/05 SP 05/05 Strength. 01 Speed. 01 Magic. 01 Endurance. 01 Dexterity. 01 Status Points. 00 Skill List. Mana/EXP Conversion LV Infinity, EXP Master LV Infinity Skill Points. 00 Billy also had status and skill list. However, what was shocking were his skills. It was weird that he had skill, much less at that level. It didn't have a level actually, but it was weird nonetheless. Billy didn't know what those skills could do, but he learned once he focused his eyes on them. Mana/EXP Conversion. It grants you the power to convert mana into experience for you or for all kinds of targets. EXP Master. It grants you the power to increase the level of all things by using them constantly, be it objects or living things. Interesting, truly intriguing, Billy thought. While Billy was busy seeing all that, his mother was giggling while poking his cheeks since he was staring at nothing. After a while, Billy noticed that, but then he concluded that it was fine. Come to think of it, I still can't understand what Mom says, only my name is obvious. I guess that explains why I didn't get a language skill. Putting that aside, Billy decided to test his first skill since he didn't have anything to test the second. In the end, a single thought had been enough to transfer his MP to his experience. Unfortunately, the rate was 1-to-1. So, even when Billy used all his mana, he didn't level up. Not to mention, using all his energy exhausted his mind and made him fall asleep, and he woke up only the next day. Fortunately, Billy's MP was full again, so he had the chance to use mana/EXP conversion yet again. Still, he only used 1 point to see how long he had to wait before his mana could be full again. He had to wait for 1 hour. I see. I guess this isn't so bad. Still, is this a common thing here, or am I the only one with the system? If Billy was the only one with that, he would worry. It would be like a sign of the universe telling him to become someone lazy who doesn't work hard to obtain things. After all, one didn't have to be a genius to understand how stupidly powerful those two skills were. Congratulations! You have leveled up. You obtained 05 status points. You obtained 05 skill points. The list of skills available have been actualized. Billy. LV01. 00/20 EXP HP 05/05 MP 05/05 SP 05/05 Strength 01 Speed 01 Magic 01 Endurance 01 Dexterity 01 Status Points 05 Skill List Mana/EXP Conversion LV Infinity EXP Master LV Infinity Skill Points 05 Billy thought that his status would change, but everything was the same aside from the points he gained. It was hard to say if that was a good thing or not. Nevertheless, when Billy focused his eyes on the skill points available, a new window opened. Language Skill 02 Skill Points Analyze 03 Skill Points Bash 05 Skill Points. I see, the skills available only appear if I have enough skill points to acquire them. I need to be careful since I must have a limit of how many times I can level up. Language skill was something that Billy needed no matter what. Analyze was probably something that he needed to see the status of objects. As for Bash, which was an offensive skill, he didn't need it since there was no way a toddler would be able to fight. He confirmed all that after reading their descriptions. Nevertheless, Billy even decided to save his status points because he didn't know how they would affect his young body. If they really improve his body, then he might get unnecessary attention. Once he learned those, Billy realized that analysis consumed 1 point of his mana to be used. Language skill didn't need anything. Still, even after acquiring it, Billy couldn't understand his mother. Something seems weird here. I thought babies were supposed to learn things pretty fast. Language skill. LV00. 0 out of 10 EXP. Once Billy checked the skill again, he noticed that the skill was at level 1 and even needed the same amount of experience as him to level up. Maybe he could make it level up without using any skill and do so naturally, but that would be a pain. So, for the next 2 days, Billy focused on making that skill level up. He could make it level up naturally once he starts to understand some words. It was too much of a pain to hear everyone talking and he couldn't understand anything aside from proper names. Chapter 3. New Life 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Good morning, Billy. Are you, B as well? The next day after leveling up his language skill, Billy already noticed a clear difference. A pretty big difference considering that he just made the skill just level up a single time. Nevertheless, he also confirmed his previous assumption that the skill would level up by itself if he started to guess the meaning behind his mother's words. Language skill. LV01. February 20th EXP. I suppose this is for the best. You are in luck, Mom. Your kid already feels embarrassed enough to do nothing aside from pooping himself, pissing himself, eating, and then sleeping all day. Causing more trouble than that, and I wouldn't be able to watch myself in the mirror. Nevertheless, Billy found something interesting to kill time until he is able to control his new body properly, which was to use the system. However, that day, his mother had other plans for him. He was already 6 months old, so she assumed that it would be a good idea to take him outside the hut to see their village. While the timing wasn't that good, Billy didn't mind it. Billy didn't know if he should feel good or bad, considering that the whole village was basically made of huts made of bamboo and straw. It was a sign that his family wasn't that bad financially, but it was also a sign that the village was either too archaic or too poor. While that seemed like a problem, Billy soon lost interest in it when he began to see men and women walking around carrying spears. He could even see some kids younger than 10 with short spears as well. Even those had some scars and showed that they had been training from an early age. I suppose this village focuses on developing a fighting style that revolves in the use of spears to fight, but since that is the case, why only a few people have steel in the tip of their spears actually? Billy found that most of the spears didn't have a proper tip. Some were completely made of wood, while others had stones in them. It seemed really weak but deadly if they pierced the right or the wrong spot. Nevertheless, Billy had yet to learn the name of his parents. Still, since his mother went around the village showing him to everyone while grinning from ear to ear, he eventually learned them. Heya, Camilla. A thin but tall, dark-haired man who seemed to be around Billy's mother's age said. Is Drew working? As usual. While Billy missed a few words, he heard his parents' names. While it was weird that they were pretty similar to the names on Earth, he paid no mind to it. In fact, it was good that the names were easy to remember. It has been a while, Mother, Camilla said to a woman who didn't seem much older than her and was looking after some plants. Billy recognized the midwife that helped his mother during the birth. He didn't think that she was his grandmother, she never visited, after all. Billy looked around and saw that his grandmother had quite the garden. However, instead of normal flowers, she had many types of herbs around her hut. She seemed to be a healer of some sort. Your kid is weak. You shouldn't take him outside so soon, the granny, who looked like Camilla's older sister, said. He doesn't fuss that much, but he is incredibly healthy, Camilla said. Do you want to look after him for a day to confirm that? And what are you planning to do during that time? Granny asked. Your fighting days are over. Once we give birth, we abandon the front lines to look after the next generation until they can look after themselves. Billy already knew that, but those words confirmed that his mother was once a warrior before he was born, and according to the tradition of the tribe, she had to look after him until he was strong enough. Billy looked in the distance and saw a woman teaching two kids how to use the spear, so he assumed that his mother would do the same at some point. Considering how much everyone had scars on their bodies, it seemed that even strong people were fighting for their lives daily. So, Billy began to think that he should help his father become strong. His skills should help him with that. However, Drew always shows up late at night and leaves early in the morning, not to mention, he doesn't interact with Billy all that much. Billy thought that he would spend the day outside, but his mother listened to her mother and then returned to their hut. Although he wanted to hear people talking more and learn other things, he didn't have to hurry. Since language skill was leveling up by itself, Billy decided to make his level increase instead. He only did that because he didn't pay much attention to him when his father showed up, even when Billy stretched his arms toward him to give him mana. He wants to play with you. Why not spend some moments with Billy? Camilla asked. It isn't a good idea, Drew replied with his head down. Father died when I was just a kid, and even though I spent so much time with him, those memories only made me feel worse after his death. It will be better if I become a distant figure to him. At least he will be spared some pain in his life. Things got darker in a very unexpected way. Now that he thought about it, Billy didn't see people with gray hair in the shrine. Not even women, that was a sign that they didn't even have the chance to reach a certain age. Mom never mentioned her father, and I am supposed to have two grandmothers. Billy had misunderstood a few things. His tribe wasn't a warrior tribe by choice but by necessity. That made him realize that he truly will have to find a way for his father and mother to become stronger before something happens. Chapter 4. New Life 4. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Billy tried to use analysis on his mother, but it didn't work, so it became obvious that he would need another skill. With that in mind, he began to use mana/exp conversion whenever possible. He even allocated some points into magic to confirm that he could increase his mana that way. If his mana increases, his body probably won't change, but his spirit will. Billy. LV01. 00/20 exp HP 05/05 MP 15/15 SP 05/05 Strength 0-1 speed. 0-1 magic. 0-6 endurance. 0-1 dexterity. 0-1 status points. 0 skill list. Mana/EXP conversion LV Infinity, EXP Master LV Infinity, Language Skill LV01, Analysis LV01, Skill Points. 0. After doing that, he confirmed that his mana increased by 2 points by each point he put into magic. However, his mana regeneration didn't increase. Since it didn't increase that way, I will need a skill for that. In the end, with his current mana regeneration, Billy needed 2 days to be able to level up 2 times and update the list of skills available to be purchased. Fortunately, Appraisal was among them. Bash. 0-5 skill points. Dash. 10 skill points. Appraisal. 10 skill points. Damn, why is Dash so expensive? Since one could use Dash by running with all their might, the price was weird. Nevertheless, Appraisal had a cost. Billy would need 3 mana points to use it, but he could see everyone's status. However, the information given would be determined by the level of the skill. This system is useful, but it has some severe limitations. Camilla. LV 28. 20/840 EXP. In the beginning, Billy could only see his mother's name when he used Appraisal, but once the skill reached level 5, he managed to see that much. He had to use the skill for 1 week to reach that level, though. Billy realized that he needed to recover his mana faster. Otherwise, it will take too long for him to do anything for his family, even with that system. While he had yet to develop any deep links with them, they gave him a new body, so he needed to work hard and make sure that they would live long enough for him to repay the favor. Let's see. I need to recover mana faster and then see all mom's status. Should I focus on a single one or try both and see which I can reach faster? Even if Billy could make others gain experience, it would be meaningless if their status didn't increase. Since he could improve his own status, maybe others could do as well, but Billy doubted that. If everyone had the same system as him, they wouldn't be at level 20.8 when they were in their 20s. With that in mind, Billy was probably the one who had to distribute the status points that he made others gain, like in a game. In the end, Billy had to wait for 1 month to reach level 7 and find a skill that would grant him the ability to recover more mana. It was meditation, a skill perfect for someone like him who couldn't do anything yet since he was just 6 months old. Unfortunately, it seemed that it would take a while longer for him to see all of the statuses of his mother, like a few months at that rate. Meditation. LV01. 0/10 EXP. 20 skill points. It restores 1 point of mana according to the level of the skill per hour. The effects aren't that impressive in the low levels, but I am sure it will improve more than a little bit in the future. Billy had plenty of time to level up meditation by using it, or so he thought. When he was 6 months old, his mother began to train his body in order for him to learn how to walk. While he already could crawl, it wasn't very pleasant since he hurt his hands and his knees in the ground all the time, and since his body was so soft, the pain didn't go away so soon. EXP plus 0-1. After spending a couple of minutes standing on his feet with the help of his mother, Billy noticed that his experience went up. That was weird. Gaining experience just by learning how to walk. Still, that would explain how his mother reached level 20.8 without having a system. Even her status points had been allocated, after all. Camilla. LV 28. 20/840 EXP HP 235/235 MP 4949 SP 299/299 Strength 65. I suppose physical training also makes one gain experience. It makes sense considering what EXP Master can do. To confirm that, Billy used Appraisal on some kids when his mother carried him to revisit his grandmother. He saw that even 5-year-old kids were at level 4, and they basically trained with bamboo spears. Yes, this is what Billy's focus changed when he saw things getting noisy. His mother and grandmother looked toward the same direction, and then they saw some heavily wounded warriors carrying two men who were even more wounded than them. One of the two had lost two legs, and Billy's father was giving a shoulder to one who lost his left arm. What the? The wounds in their bodies hadn't been caused by spears or swords. It looked like it had been bitten off by something. Billy wondered what the hell had caused that while his mother was carrying him home, since his grandmother went to help the wounded men. It was hard to believe it, but it seemed that some kind of monster had done that. I am not on Earth, am I? It was only mid-afternoon, but Billy saw his father returning home while carrying a big lump of meat. It didn't look like any part of a cow, pig, or animal that he had seen in his past life, and it was the first time he saw the raw meat that his parents eat every day before cooking. Chapter 5. New Life 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What happened today? Camilla asked. Two wild beasts appeared at the same time. While we managed to defeat them, we suffered some damage and got exhausted, then we were ambushed by some enemies, Drew replied. And then another wild beast appeared when we fended them off. Billy stopped his meditation to listen to that, wild beasts and enemies. It almost looked like his father didn't treat monsters like their real enemies. In any case, that day probably had been a rare occurrence, but Billy could tell that his father wouldn't last for long if that happened a few other times. Billy won't be able to strengthen his father due to his past, so he needs to find another way. Billy soon found it. He had to use his father's spear. Hopefully, even a few level ups will make a difference. If I increase my mana, I should be able to make it level up a few times. The only problem is how I am going to do that without anyone noticing it. There was only one way. Billy had to do it in the middle of the night while his parents were asleep. Since their beds were made of straw, Billy didn't have to jump from his bed, so things wouldn't be that hard, but if he is caught, well, the worst thing that will happen is him getting scolded. Even if Billy wanted, he couldn't stay up all night. He had yet to obtain that level of mastery over his new body, so he decided to empty his mana early in the evening to fall asleep. Even if he were a toddler, he wouldn't sleep all night, or so he thought. His plan nearly failed since he saw the sky clearing and the sun rising when he woke up. I have to hurry up. Wooden spear. LV00. 0/10 EXPSTR plus 01 speed plus 02 durability. May 15 status points. 00 skill points. 00 Billy almost cried when he saw such a pitiful weapon. It was the first weapon he analyzed, but considering the status alone, it was incredibly weak. Unfortunately, considering the appearance of others, no one had a weapon much better. Nevertheless, Billy touched the weapon and activated his skill. Even after putting all his status into magic, Billy only managed to make the weapon level up 3 times. Still, at least the weapon obtained the same amount of skill and status points as him when he levels up. Nevertheless, unlike himself, Billy could only increase 3 parameters of the spear. 2 of them would affect the wielder directly, but durability only affected the weapon itself. Billy assumed that he couldn't ignore durability and focus on making the weapon to become faster and stronger, since it would make it break faster while it delivers more powerful attacks. So, for the time being, Billy decided to divide the points equally and see how that would affect his father's work the next day. Now for the skill points. Can a weapon learn skills? HP plus 10. 0.5 skill points. MP plus 10. 0.5 skill points. SP plus 10. 0.5 skill points. Those were the skills the spear could learn. Billy confirmed that when his eyes focused on the number of status points. Regardless, while the effects weren't that impressive, they sure will come in handy, even more so since they could stack. Wooden spear. LV03. 0/40 EXPSTR plus 06 speed plus 07 durability. 10/20 HP LV03 status points. 0 skill points. 0 Billy nodded to himself in satisfaction. It was basically a new weapon, one that couldn't even be compared to the previous one. Still, instead of admiring his work, Billy returned to his bed since his father might wake up soon. In the end, Drew woke up a bit later since he still was recovering from the wounds he got on the previous day. Billy grinned from ear to ear when he saw his father grabbing the weapon and then staring at it for a while. While Drew couldn't see the status, he could feel great power coming from the weapon. He even tested it outside for a while, and once he confirmed that his spear only felt more powerful instead of cursed, he left for his work. Well then, I suppose I need to focus on recovering all the mana that I used. Although meditation gained 1 point of experience each hour Billy used it, he still had to wait for 2 days for his mana to be full again. At that time, Billy confirmed that his father seemed less tired and hurt than usual. However, he found another problem: some villagers were looking at him suspiciously since he suddenly got stronger. Even Drew himself seemed troubled by it. What a pain, now I have to worry about this too. Give me a break. Billy couldn't go around strengthening everyone's weapons, and it seemed that he couldn't make his father's weapon stronger even more either. He wanted to intervene more, but it looked like Billy would have to wait until his father's strength became a support for the whole tribe, instead of something to feel jealous over it. Time to focus on myself again. Since Billy already was learning how to walk, perhaps increasing his other parameters will help and won't make him look strange. Since he used appraisal on the other kids, it seemed that they gained 2 points of strength a year. His mother had over 60, so she gained 4 points of strength per year, while his father gained 9. Having limitations seemed like a pain, but it would be better to measure himself considering the ordinary level of strength of the village. To do some tests, Billy increased his strength by 1 point, and thanks to that, he managed to stand on his own when he was just 6 months old. When he put another point into endurance, crawling on the ground didn't hurt all that much either. While it seemed like little progress, it was truly astonishing since he made that much progress in a single instant. His power was beyond useful, but instead of excited, he got worried wondering as to why he had it. Chapter 6. Decision 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although Billy didn't have much to do, 6 months passed in the blink of an eye. Some people say that no news is good news, but he didn't believe in that. He was waiting anxiously for the day where some people of the tribe would return after another day of hard work fighting monsters with a few missing limbs. Fortunately, that never happened. Billy. LV 13. 20/180 EXP HP 1111 MP 75 75 SP 1111 Strength. 04 Speed. 01 Magic. 36 Endurance. 04 Dexterity. 01 Status Points. 39 Skill List. Mana/EXP Conversion LV Infinity, EXP Master LV Infinity, Language Skill LV 17, Analyze LV 12, Appraisal LV 15, Meditation LV 06, Skill Points. 45. While Billy made quite a bit of progress in those 6 months, he didn't use his status points or skills points all that much. The reason for that was that he was planning to use them in case something happened. While his mana was high for his age, he had yet to see a single spell appearing on his skill list. Not to mention, he had no idea if magic was something common in that world. So, something problematic might happen if he is caught using magic. He needs to avoid that until he can take care of himself. Another thing that Billy learned was the fact that apparently, every 10 levels, the difficulty of his level up duplicates. That was also true for his skills. While that was a bit troublesome, it didn't surprise him since the experience necessary after each level up increased only by 10 points before. I don't think that I will face monsters anytime soon, but I guess I should start working on crafting my own weapon. The more time I have to make it stronger, the better. While Billy was only 1 year old, he already could quite a lot if compared to before. His mother would take him on walks every morning, and he didn't need to be held by the head or even walk while holding her hands. Her legs were strong enough after he increased his strength. "Billy, do you want to visit Granny today?" Camilla asked. Billy nodded since he was starting to get sick of doing nothing but sitting all day at his home entrance watching other people following their usual routines. While Billy could walk around by himself, he didn't want to worry his mother. Life was simple in the village, but everyone had a lot to do. His mother had to skin the monsters pretty much every day, and that required a lot of time and effort. Speaking of monsters, Billy finally had the chance to see one entirely the other day. The creature was as weird as it could be. While it looked like a giant scorpion, its body was covered in fur instead of a carapace. Even so, the tail of the monster could poison the targets and make them lose their senses. They were also 3 meters tall and 10 meters long, so Billy couldn't help but be amazed that the warriors of the tribe managed to defeat 3 of those 6 months ago on the same day. The meat of that creature wasn't that good, but it was the only thing the villagers could eat aside from plants. However, it was pretty good in restoring everyone's energy. Whenever Billy ate that, he felt truly full of energy. I suppose a weapon that grants poison resistance will be good against that type of enemy, but I wonder if spears can grant that ability. Considering his knowledge of games and also considering that the system was pretty similar to one, it was safe to assume that only defensive gear would offer that kind of ability. Unfortunately, the people of the village didn't use shields. That being said, Billy used Analyze on his clothes and confirmed that it could be enhanced. Rough leather robe. LV00. 0/10 EXP durability. February 2nd. That wasn't even funny, in any case. Billy wondered if he should make that level upon focusing on increasing his own strength. He won't wear his current clothes for long, after all. Maybe he could experiment with it and see the effects he could put on his current clothes. Maybe he could transform it into something else once he grows up. Billy did that and learned that he could only increase the durability of his clothes, and their effects were basically the same as the spear of his father. No, something is off. I should have access to other effects with 30 skill points. Billy managed to make the skill level up 6 times, so he had 30 skill points indeed. However, no other effect appeared on the list. That meant, he couldn't add all the effects he wanted on some items. He had to consider their quality as well. I suppose that explains a lot. It would be weird if this rough attire could have effects like self-healing or self-repair. In the end, Billy decided to keep leveling up and increasing his skill points. He wanted to obtain a skill that would grant him the power to create items. Earth manipulation should do the trick, at least for starters. A weapon made of the earth shouldn't have a higher quality compared to a bamboo spear. Just when Billy decided that, he began to smell smoke. At the same time, his mother felt that and left the hut and then looked toward north, which was the direction Drew leaves every day to protect the village. Billy looked toward that direction as well and found several spots where smoke was rising from the sky. Camilla returned to inside the hut and then grabbed a spear that was hidden behind their home. Billy had never seen that one, but he assumed that his mother didn't completely abandon the idea of fighting. Nevertheless, the group that left to fight early in that morning returned, and this time, they returned in a smaller number. Chapter 7. Decision 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Grab what you can carry from our home, we are leaving, Drew declared. Billy's father was bleeding from several wounds on his body. While some parts of his body were red and emitting a lot of heat, there was no sign of burn marks, so Billy couldn't understand why he had so many cuts in his body. Leave? To where? Camilla asked in shock. We will accept the offer of the Hammersmiths and work for them, Drew said while showing an annoyed expression. The elementalists attacked us with 50 of them, we left 10 behind to hold them back, but we don't have enough time and any other choice. Billy had no idea what was happening, but it seemed that they were going to abandon their home, the entire village would be abandoned. Those elementalists probably were something else, since not even when 2 men in the past lost their limbs made them decide of that. It will be better if you help your mother, I will take care of Billy and grab what we will need, Drew said, and then took Billy from his mother's arms. It was the first time that his father held him, but Billy was too old to feel happy for that, and there was no time for sentimentalism. In the end, his father only grabbed some leather and food before leaving the hut. They didn't have all that much, after all. "Dad," Billy said. "Oh. You can speak pretty well for your age," Drew said as they left the hut. "Don't worry, Billy. Life won't be easy, but at least I will give you the chance to fight to change the fate of our tribe." Once they approached the house of Billy's grandmother, they saw the whole village moving. While it was quite the sight, their numbers didn't even reach the 100 people mark. It seemed that the tribe was really about to face extinction. "You will have to leave some herbs behind, Anna," Drew said. "Not happening. Do you have any idea how much work I had to find and cultivate them?" Anna said. It was the first time Billy heard his grandmother's name, but there was no time to think about that once again. While they were talking, Billy was looking toward the north, and he could see more spots where smoke was rising to the sky, and they were also getting closer to the village. At that point in time, it became obvious for Billy that his new life would be far from peaceful. In the end, Anna abandoned half of her herbs when she saw a wave of flames approaching the village and putting some of the huts on fire. Not to mention, the place was almost completely desert. Only a few warriors were waiting for Drew in order to stall for more time in case they needed it. However, they soon left the place behind. Much to Billy's surprise, his whole family could run fast like the wind. Even his grandmother, and those three were carrying all sorts of things. On the other hand, Billy couldn't even leave his eyes open against the wind with their speed. Elementalists, what the hell were they? Billy thought as he frowned. For some reason, those enemies never appeared while the entire village was running away. Either they just wanted their territory, or they couldn't move that fast. Nevertheless, Billy felt quite troubled while he was thinking that he would never see that hut again. It was small and rough. Still, it had its charms, and it was fairly comfortable. However, what troubled him the most was the fact that his tribe was in war against monsters and other types of creatures, to the point where they were forced to abandon their homes. In the end, the whole village only stopped moving after 1 hour. Billy was feeling pretty bad since his body was still weak, but even the bigger kids were no better. Without any other choice, Billy increased his endurance, and that helped a little. The whole tribe ran for almost 6 hours and only stopped to rest for a couple of minutes. Fortunately, they arrived at their destination before sunset, but they didn't receive a warm welcome. The next tribe didn't look as rustic as them. The place had actually houses that used stones as a base, and it was pretty significant as well. Not to mention, it wasn't located in the middle of a forest, but in a grassland. Despite that, the place had some walls as well. They were only 5 meters tall, but they seemed enough to stop some enemies. The real problem were the guards armed with some stone hammers. While they looked human, they were taller and larger than all the warriors of the tribe. Class LV-42 280/1280 EXP HP 455/455 MP 101/101 SP 423/423 Strength 210 Speed 75 Magic 25 Endurance 155 Dexterity 56 Status Points 00 Billy used appraisal on them and couldn't help but blink in surprise. They were much stronger than expected. Considering their status, they had a strength that went beyond their level as well. Was it because of training or because of their weapon? "We didn't receive word that all of you would come," one of the 5 guards, a man who had short black hair, said. It was a last-minute decision. Drew stepped forward and then said, "We had to abandon our village and decided to accept the offer of your lord. After refusing him for so long, you decided to accept it when it is convenient for all of you." The guard furrowed his eyebrow. "Your tribe isn't the same as it used to be." Drew's expression darkened, but he didn't do or say anything. While that was just a cheap provocation, the guard was right. In recent years, their tribe had constantly been losing members. Much faster than they could train new warriors. In the last few months, with his new strength, Drew became the leading figure of the tribe, but he couldn't do much else but keep fighting. We don't know if our Lord's offer still stands, but you can enter and rest for the night, Class said. Chapter 8. Decision 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Calling the Hammersmiths base a village wasn't accurate. The place was so big and accommodated so many people that it would be better to call it a town. While the tribe was walking toward the center of the place, Billy had the chance to see many types of people. Some were wearing some pieces of armor like the guards. Still, others were working carrying water in buckets or other things while they were wearing clothes that were just a little better than Billy's tribe. It seems the lord of this place invited people of other villages to offer them protection instead of becoming their servants. Billy thought. No wonder Drew, and the other members of the village didn't accept that offer until now. From their perspective, it would be the same as becoming slaves of someone else. While life was hard in that forest, at least they had their freedom, but now they were forced to choose between their freedom and the existence of the entire tribe. After crossing half of the town, the tribe arrived on a plaza, and they stopped to rest there. Meanwhile, Drew and some others warriors prepared to leave. They had to negotiate with the leader of the place if they wanted to stay there. I will return soon, this shouldn't take long, Drew said while showing a semi-annoyed expression. We can always start from scratch somewhere else. Camilla said. Not this time, Drew shook his head. We lost half of forces and the other half is exhausted from the continuous battles. We will have to give up on freedom so that our tribe will have the chance to grow. Before he left, Drew patted Billy's head. That was very unusual of him. While Billy watched his father moving away, he began to wonder what else he could do in such a situation aside from strengthening himself. That might help himself and the tribe in the long run, but it certainly didn't work that well in preventing that reaching that situation. Don't worry, Billy, Camilla said. Your daddy will make things work right this time. You didn't lie when you said that he is a quiet child, Anna said. The others' kids cried a lot and some of them are still crying since they know that they won't see their old homes again. I wouldn't lie to you, Mother, Camilla frowned. Do you want to hold him? No, Anna said and then looked away. Billy's grandmother sure was a difficult person. Still, she was probably someone who had to see many close people to her die, so it seemed natural that she would become that cold. Since she decided to become a healer to prevent deaths, she had to abandon the front lines, and because of that, she survived longer than most people she knew. Surviving when the odds were against her was indeed impressive, but one would start wondering about the point when they feel alone when they think that at some point, they will be the last to die. Billy didn't know what he could do for his grandmother, but living with that pessimism wasn't supposed to be good. In the end, Billy stretched his arms toward Anna, and she opened her eyes in surprise. Trying to act cute wouldn't work, but he could do at least that much without looking suspicious. Grandma, Billy said. Do you see, Mother? Camilla asked while smiling. Billy wants to hug you too. How stupid, only for a short while, Anna said while she looked away. While she was a bit awkward in the beginning, Anna soon relaxed while she was holding Billy. Still, it was a bit troublesome that her daughter was grinning like an idiot in front of them. She couldn't help it since it was such a heartwarming scene. Still, the atmosphere soon returned to normal since the place was getting cold due to the night, and the other villagers were starting to get even more depressed due to their situation. After a couple of hours, Drew and the other warriors returned accompanied by some guards. It didn't look like they would be banished from the town, but Drew still looked a bit annoyed. These people will show us our new residences, Drew said, and then he hesitated. Tomorrow early in the morning each one of us will receive a new job, just like everyone else who decided to live here. After hearing those words, most of the villagers got depressed. They were a village of warriors. They basically only lost over the last few years, but they wanted to keep following the same path. However, things won't be the same as before. The guards guided everyone to the east side of the town, where they found a group of simple houses. It was pretty close to the walls, but pretty far away from the Lord's mansion. The tallest building where Drew and some headed earlier. While it was a clear sign of distinction between the inhabitants of the town. The houses were basically brand new despite their simplicity. The interior was pretty simple since there was nothing inside. Still, it was definitely an improvement if compared to their previous home. "Sorry, Anna," Drew said. "The Lord said that He build other houses soon, but for the time being, we can't give a house to everyone, so you will have to stay with us." "I suppose it can't be helped," Anna said as she tried really hard to hide her annoyance. Meanwhile, Billy was checking his new home. It didn't feel special or comfy like the other, but he had a feeling that he would stay there for quite a while. So, he might as well get used to it. Chapter 9. Learning the Basics. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Billy's new house had enough bedrooms for all of them, but none of them managed to relax in the new place even though that was the case. Not to mention, it would take a while before they forget that they abandoned the place they grew up in order to survive. Just as Drew said, some guards showed up the next morning, and everyone left their new residences. Now that Billy could see everyone, he realized that he was the youngest of the tribe. The other kids were already 4 years old, and they also played with sticks while imagining that they were spears. Those who were younger than 15 probably numbered around 30. As for the adults, they were only 40. Regardless, Billy didn't know how the guards could tell, but they only picked the highest-leveled warriors of the tribe to join the guard of the city. Although they said that, the new members will probably become the newbies who do all kinds of miscellaneous things across the town. The other adults and including women who didn't have children, were selected to work by helping in some places across the town. Anna was one of them. Due to her specialization, she was selected to help a shop that cultivated plants and crafted medicines. As for the women who had kids and the kids themselves, they were allowed to stay behind and do the same thing as they did before in the other village. They looked after their homes and also taught the new generation how to fight. "I guess the lord of this place isn't exactly a bad person," Billy thought. The area in which they could move was fairly large as well, so all the kids who wanted to be trained would have enough room to do so. However, they couldn't leave that area since the region's lord still didn't confirm what Drew and the others told him. Since he was that suspicious, Billy thought that he shouldn't let so many people already work in his town, but feeding them for free wouldn't be easy. "We will return at sunset," Drew said, and then he patted Billy's head. "See you two later." Billy had many things to say to a guy who was supposed to be his age before he had reincarnated for patting him. Still, he will have to store all those complaints inside his mind until a later date. Nevertheless, as soon as those two groups left, the kids and their mother began to train. Naturally, Billy and Camilla felt left out since they couldn't do anything like that. "Why don't we run a little, Billy?" Camilla asked. "While we can't exaggerate, it won't hurt if your legs become a bit stronger." While Billy agreed with that, meditating was much more effective than such kind of training. Still, he nodded since he wanted to keep his mother company. In the end, Camilla just wanted to exercise a little bit and regain her strength since she wanted to fight for her people. That became obvious when she began to do push-ups and squats with Billy on her back. I suppose if I make Mom level up a few times, no one will be against her fighting again, Billy thought. Billy began to give his mana to his mother with that in mind, but she never noticed it. That being said, after 7 days of doing that, she leveled up, and she felt her strength suddenly increase. It was a feeling that she had only when she survived some difficult battles. She couldn't understand why she obtained power just by working out. "You look more fit than before," Anna said when the family was having dinner together. "I am just doing some light exercises since Billy can't learn how to fight yet," Camilla replied while forcing a smile. Rather than that, how are things in the other parts of the town? There is nothing to say, there are many other people across town from other villages. Around half of the population of this place had to choose working for the Lord like us, Anna replied. While some people look at us with weird eyes, they are just worried that we look more savage than them. The guards of this place eliminated all the beasts in the area, so the monsters have to come pretty far away to attack, but we leave every morning to prevent that, Drew said. They are a bit tougher than the beasts we are used to, but the guards of this place already had the strength to fight them. Their weapons also are several levels above ours. While Drew said that, it looked like he wasn't entirely sure if the place was completely safe. After all, if they don't find other smaller targets, the elementalists would attack the Hammersmiths' base. Since no one said anything after that, they assumed that was the case. Regardless, Billy was a bit curious about the situation for many reasons. One of them was the fact that they started to eat a fish that was yellow. It seemed like the infant version of some kind of monster since it had some scary teeth on its mouth. Regardless, that made him realize that the weird monster's meat that his family had been eating couldn't be found there. Life in that town slowly began to affect the whole tribe. With the payment they received for their work, the families began to buy proper clothes from the merchants in the city, and they weren't made from rough monsters' leather. It wasn't that unexpected, but it seemed that even cotton could be produced and manufactured into clothes. Billy felt really relaxed when he finally wore real pants and a T-dot shirt. In any case, Billy kept his guard up, even though he couldn't help in case something happened. However, in 2 years, nothing happened. In the meantime, Billy made his father and mother level up 5 times. He also made himself level up 10 times, but he never used the points he obtained. Billy. LV23. 110/420 EXP HP 1111 MP 75 75 SP 11 15 Strength. 04 Speed. 01 Magic. 36 Endurance. 06 Dexterity. 01. Status Points. 87 Skill List. Mana/EXP Conversion LV Infinity, EXP Master LV Infinity, Language Skill LV 25, Analyze LV 17, Appraisal LV 22, Meditation LV 11, Skill Points. 95. I guess you are strong enough to learn the basics of combat, Billy, Camilla said. Shall we start? Chapter 10. Learning the Basics. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Billy blinked several times when he heard that. It seemed a bit too soon for a kid of his age to learn how to fight. While he could run, his short body didn't let him move the way he truly wanted to become faster. Still, it made sense for Camilla since Billy never interacted with other kids and just spent his day watching them while he meditated. Putting aside the fact that he didn't have any interest in playing with other children, the fact that they were also training hard due to the situation of the tribe didn't help. Okay, Mom, Billy said. It will probably take more than a few years for Billy to have to fight for his life and/or protect his tribe, but maybe that was a good chance. While he could become stronger by using his skills and system, that probably wouldn't be enough without proper training. Besides, Billy wanted a weapon to power up to its very limits. The more he creates several of them, the better things will be for him. In any case, maybe he should spend his status and skill points to help with the training. It might be a bit scary, but you will get used to it, Camilla said. Okay, Billy nodded. Sometimes it will be painful, but that will only help you in the future, Camilla added. Yes, Billy nodded again. You are smarter than the other kids, so I am sure you will learn fast, Camilla said. Yes, Billy said while frowning slightly. But that doesn't mean that you can let yourself become arrogant, Camilla said. Strength needs pure purposes, otherwise your strength will stagnate. Steel your resolve and then you will gain strength like no other and reach heights never seen before. Here. Camilla passed to Billy, a staff that was as tall as him. While it wasn't that long for an adult, it sure would be difficult for him to use it. Not to mention, it wasn't made of wood. It was made of stone, so it is pretty heavy. The kids around here train from the very beginning with weapons made of stone and that builds up their strength over time, Camilla said. While we don't have the habit of training with heavy weapons, we are adopting the same habit. Billy wondered why it was a staff with no tips. It seemed pretty silly not to have one since it was basically a weapon due to its weight and hardness. Another weird thing was the fact that everyone in the villages had spears. Billy didn't feel like using them. A sword or even a bow would be a better option. The trick to become a master in the use of any weapon is to use them like they are an extension of your body, Camilla said. So, to reach that level, you will have to do everything without letting go of that staff. It made sense, and it also seemed simple enough. Billy could do that while he meditates, but then his mother told him to move around the area to get some exercise and get used to his staff. It didn't take long for Billy to realize that things wouldn't be easy, since he didn't increase his strength in over 2 years, and he wasn't the type to play with other kids. His body was pretty weak. Well, I guess it is for moments like this I have this system, Billy said and fixed the weight of the staff by increasing his strength by 2 points. Now I must have the strength of a 3-year-old boy. Despite that, it didn't take long for Billy to think of increasing his strength again. Since he didn't have any place to light the staff and carrying it with a single arm was too hard, he was using both, and both arms were getting tired at the same time. Oh, well. Let's start playing with this, Billy thought and then began to pass his mana to the weapon. After some point in the last 2 years, Billy wondered if he should level up and strengthen items. Wouldn't it be better if he focused on himself in the end? Weapons can be stolen and broken, but his own strength couldn't be stolen. That being said, he reached a point where with the mana of a single of his level ups, he could make a weapon level up 7 to 8 times. He couldn't ignore that. Stone staff strength plus 0.2, endurance plus 0.2 durability. 15-15 After analyzing the staff, Billy confirmed that the bonus status of the weapon couldn't affect his HP, MP, and SP. They could only affect those when they had the special effects granted by using skill points. Still, those bonuses probably increased his strength and endurance, but it looked like the bonus was weak since he couldn't feel that much power coming from it. I can't increase the strength, otherwise the training will be essentially useless, Billy thought. Since I won't fight anytime soon, I will save the points for later and slowly strengthen the staff.